My name's Adam Morris and my video essay is on montage editing. Montage is a technique in film which is a number of shots which are edited into a sequence. This is used to condense time and information. This film technique is something that I've used a lot over the last 2 semesters in the projects I've made for film. It is also something I feel that I've improved in during this time as well. It is also a technique I will be using in my new short film. Firstly though, I will be looking at my first short film which I made called Betrayal. For my first film, Betrayal, I tried to incorporate a montage sequence quite early on into the film. This sequence was between a tracking shot and a still shot of our protagonist and his lover. The sequence I didn't feel worked too well, as it didn't actually show too much of a montage. It was only mainly of the protagonist walking because of a long tracking shot. I also tried a second montage sequence in Betrayal. This sequence was of the protagonist and his accomplice attacking a character and then meeting up with his accomplice and collecting a bag. Sadly, it was edited badly. It was edited badly because it didn't separate the fighting and the actual meetings of the accomplice with a bag, which drove the narrative. Sadly, I felt I could have incorporated the meeting of the accomplice in between the fighting montage, as it became tedious and tiring as an audience to watch. I've now re-edited the sequence in which the protagonist is fighting. I've re-edited it to incorporate the meeting with his accomplice in between the fighting sequence. This is to allow the montage to still drive the narrative without it dragging out the fight sequence. I found some good examples of montage editing and quick cut sequences. These gave me the inspiration to use some of the techniques from the influences into my own work. One sequence I took a lot of influence from is the use of quick cut editing from Edgar Wright's Shaun of the Dead. The way he uses the quick cuts to drive the narrative and also make ordinary objects seem extraordinary by using extreme close-up shots influenced me to try the technique. Here is now a clip of Shaun of the Dead.
Player 2 has left the game. You do know the front door was open again last night.
The clip is a great example of quick editing, as it highlights a whole morning routine in a matter of seconds. Instead of having mediocre and long tedious takes of his morning, we see an intense pace of quick editing, allowing the narrative to be driven. The shot is broken up with some dialogue between 2 characters, but then quickly steps back into the quick cuts, proving this to be a great use of editing. For my second film project, I was making a film about someone who suffers with OCD. I explored montage sequences as it allowed me to create a sequence of shots that were extreme close-ups of mundane household objects being used. Due to the nature of the protagonist's condition, we see him move objects into correct positions to satisfy his condition. I took inspiration from the director Edgar Wright for certain sequences in this particular short film. I mainly looked at the quick cuts of Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. I used close-up shots during this montage sequence to make the ordinary seem extraordinary. I felt that this was achieved. The first few shots worked well in driving the narrative forward without having to show the complete actions of the character. I personally felt that the coffee and tea shot had the best outcome, as I believe it gave the image a power. Even though that is only jars of coffee and tea, it had the control over the protagonist, as we have to see him move them in a particular order in the close-up shot, expressing its power over the protagonist. I did feel, though, that there were a few unnecessary shots and fades in the process. The fades didn't allow me to have a quick montage that I was aiming for, but overall I did take the ideas from the project and tried to improve them in the next piece of work that I did. I decided to practice a montage sequence which could relate to my film in May. This short film is set during the day and follows the protagonist trying to achieve his goal of getting home for his child's birthday, but having to overcome dilemmas during the day, creating confrontations for him during this short film. I practiced an example of the morning montage sequence, which could be used in my final project. The main idea behind this morning sequence was to drive the narrative fast by highlighting over a typical morning routine without it being slow and taking up too much footage. Although I felt the shots worked very well, they were definitely too long to create the accelerated montage that I desired to make. I felt that these shots could be cut down more to allow the edit to be much more of the standard of the accelerated montage that I wanted. When I edited this, it became clear within the second shot that it was going to be more of a continuity editing rather than an accelerated montage. I however was pleased with the match on action that I used in the sequence. I decided that I would re-edit this sequence. This re-edit of the same sequence I felt turned out much better than the previous edit. I felt that this related much more to my original intentions of being an accelerated montage sequence. I shortened each clip to allow it to be quick cuts. I feel also this relates back to the Shaun of Dead scene that I reflected on earlier. I kept in the match on action scene as I felt that it worked well previously, as it didn't need to be as short as the other clips and didn't need to be as sharp as well, as it was the conclusion of this sequence. In summary, I feel that I have shown improvement in my editing of montage sequences with the use of quick cuts. I hope to bring the skills that I've gained from the practice of this technique into the film that I'm currently making for Maytime. As the film in May follows a dark path, I feel that the quick montage sequences could be an important feature in my film, as it could reflect an intense sequence with the use of this technique, which will hopefully fit the style and the genre of my short film.